Hey guys, welcome to Crypto Night. This is OG bringing you with another cryptocurrency video. So today we're going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the alts. With Bitcoin, right now it's kind of in an indecisive zone. So if we zoom out to let's start off with the 15-minute and zoom out. So on the 15-minute, we can see that price has broken above the 200 MAs, and we might be coming down to retest it. So if we have a successful retest, something like this, coming down and then going up like that, then we might be able to put in a long trade. That said, one caveat I want to mention is typically I prefer for price to move slightly higher before retesting for me to enter into a long, right? So where there's more space for price to head up, because right now we kind of have a resistance at this point. So if we come back to retest the support, then there's not that much room before we hit this first resistance, right? Whereas if we have something like this, then if our entry was, let's say, around this level, then we have a lot of room before we meet our first resistance level. So, but let's see, right? Well, let's wait to see how price reacts here. It might just come back, fall right back through here, in which case this would have been a false breakout area, and we might be looking for a potential short to continue the leg down. That said, on the hourly chart, we have kind of the opposite. So we have this breakdown from this 200 MAs and also from this trend line. And if we zoom out a little bit, right? So this is point 1, point 2 forms the trend line. This is test number 1. This was a successful bounce, right? This would have been a good place for a long. This was the second test right here. Still an okay move, not as good as the first, but still would have been profitable. And this is the third, right? The third test, and it failed. It closed below, right? And so, the more an area or a trend line gets tested, the more likely it is to break, which is why I personally prefer to trade the first test, right, of a zone or of a level, because typically the first test has the highest success rate. Okay, so with that said, right, we see that price could be coming up here to test the 200 MAs on the hourly chart, and this then could be a place for a potential short, right? Because like I said earlier, this will be the first test of the 200 MAs from this breakdown. And typically the first test is the most successful test. And so we could see something like this, right? And then come back down. And in a way, compared to the 15-minute, I would prefer this setup more because we see that there's room, right? There's more room here created compared to this, right? You see how this is very tight, right? So I would prefer to have more room for price to hit take profit. But let's see, right? We'll have to see what plays out first. If price retest this level first, or if price comes back down to test the 200 period moving average on the 15-minute first, and then we'll have to see how price reacts in order for us to decide if we want to enter a trade. Now, looking at the Ethereum chart, again, very indecisive, and giving us opposite signals, right, or opposing signals. So on the one hand, we had this W double bottom pattern with the breakout on this candle, right? But as you can see, this breakout is exactly at the 200 MAs and the first test, right? And as I said earlier, the first test of something typically doesn't work out, right? And especially since this candle didn't close above these MAs, right? If this candle closed above these, then I would be in a different I would be more bullish. Let's put it that way, right? Because then it shows that there's enough momentum for us to push through. But because we didn't, then it shows that this is potentially an area for a rejection. And so that's why I didn't enter a trade here, because of these conflicting signals. And so as you can see, price has not had a follow through, at least not yet. I'm still keeping watch to see what happens here, but this is probably not looking too good for the bulls at the moment unless we break above the 200 MAs. For Bitcoin Cash, we also have this W pattern, but it's very tight, right? Again, I like when there's more space, right? This is very tight, and so, but this is slightly more bullish than the Ethereum case because we do see that this candle, right? One, it's a huge candle. Two, volume is quite nice as well compared to the previous candles, and the close of this candle is above the 200 MA, right? So more bullish compared to this, right? But with that said, if we look at, let's go back a little bit here. Let's see. Oh, actually, it's on the Ethereum chart. So let's take a look here. So, for example, right, if we actually look at this example, how this, one thing with this trade does have going for it compared to Bitcoin Cash is that there is more space here, right? See how this is? There's a lot of space here versus this. There's barely any space, and so these are the things I look for, right, before I decide if I want to enter into a trade. But let's see. If we look at Bitcoin, apologies, BinanceCoin, this is again, right, this W pattern, but again, very small spacing. So compared to something like this, which would be better, right? This is similar W pattern, but there's a lot of space created, right? A lot of space for this to form, and this actually was a great long trade here, right? Break of the neckline, long, and had a nice little run. In fact, if you held that position, it went even higher. But in any case, that's the situation, which is it's conflicting, right? Right now, the markets are kind of indecisive across the board. There's some bullish signs, but some bullish patterns, some bullish breakouts, but not ideal, right? There's something, where there's not enough spacing, whether it's closing below a resistance level, right? It's just not ideal at that moment. Similarly with Chainlink, right? W pattern, but this one has two negative things going for it, right? One is it's right below this 200 MAs, and the space is very small, right? Vechain as well, right? This is W, and even though this is slightly away from the 200 MAs, so there's some room to go, for price to rally, but you get very little space here within the pattern. Lastly, XRP, we had this inverse head and shoulders. This actually would have been already in profit. I would have taken profit had I taken this trade. I missed it, but this inverse head and shoulders here, right, breakout right here. So entering here and then exiting somewhere around here would have been a nice 1-to-1 / maybe even 2-to-1 risk reward trade. But again, this has the issue that this pattern here is quite small, right? There's not a lot of space, right? And so, yeah, so these are the trades I want to go over. Apologies for not having uploaded a video in the past few days, and even this video, I'm probably a little bit tired because I've been going to the hospital the past few days. Something wrong with my knees, so apologies for that. But hopefully, we'll be able to get back to normal starting tomorrow, and we'll be in better shape as well, and better kind of mentally. And but yeah, thank you guys for your support, and please do share, like, and subscribe. OG out. See you guys in the next one.